What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and today, it is a Monday. Kind of unfortunate that I didn't get the last Marvel Monday to be just one, and I had to split it up into two, because the X-Men 97 finale already came out and things, so I already watched that, and my review will be coming next Marvel Monday, but since I'm going to go ahead and review them anyway, I wanted to review all 4 of the episodes that I missed. Only got to do 2 because it went over. Well, I didn't have a time limit, but I decided that it went too long. Or that it was going to go too long. So technically, this is the part 2 of the 4 episodes, but it's just gonna be 2 episodes. So yeah, episode 8 and 9. Yeah. So last episode did 6 and 7. Now we will do 8 and 9. Just give the reviews again. Fun fact, my dad from these 2 episodes, from 8 and 9, he thought he knew where they were going with the finale, and he actually did not. So, interesting. He ended up being actually surprised by where they went, because it was not like the comics. I mean, it was, but it was not the storyline he thought they were going to go with. Anyway, let's get to the reviewing. So, we left off with the reveal that, Bastion is in over all this and making human sentinels, and everything's crazy. Magneto's alive, and wow, craziness. So, by the way, this is called Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1. So, yeah, Cable is helping out the X-Men, and they have to, stop Bastion, because human sentinels have turned out to be a real pain in the butt. So, it starts out with Scott and Cable having a discussion, and they end up arguing because they are both very stubborn people, and they have different ideas and things, and that part, the first part, I was just kind of like, you had such a good, you realize he was your son, and now you're just fighting. Just go be daddy and son for 1 second, and go play catch or something. Just have one moment, but the moment is over, and they are arguing now. So, they're all planning and everything, and they learn how Cable tells them a bunch of backstory and stuff, and they learn more about the human sentinels. And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, this human sentinels thing sounds really good, but not really good. It sounds really weird, but I feel like it's actually a really good idea for some reason. It just, there's a lot of people, and robots take a long time to build. So, if you just have people ready to go, and yeah, if you don't care about the people, it's a pretty convenient and easy option. So, it's not something you would think of, but whoever did think of it, that's pretty smart. The human sentinel thing, it does work. But so Cable comes from a future where it's basically a utopia for everyone except mutants, because mutants are basically slaves, because Bastion won and all things. Humans and mutants are totally separated. Everybody hates mutants, and they're just slaves or dead, depending on their luck, I guess. So yeah, they talk about that. They get that backstory. As they're planning, Roberto and Jubilee are off, not there. So, basically, Roberto has decided that he wants to tell his parents. Well, he's been convinced to tell his parents. He doesn't really want to, but he has been convinced to tell his parents that he's a mutant, which is a big deal, because his whole thing is he does not want them to know, because he doesn't know how they will react. So, he tells his mom. I don't know his mom's name. I have her here as Mrs. Roberto's mom. And she initially takes it pretty well. She's like, "Oh, whatever, it's fine." And she's like, "I kind of knew that. It was like, not really that hard to figure out." But then so I'm like, okay, so she's cool. She's fine. She's cool. She's not racist or anything. She's gonna be okay. But then it's quickly revealed that she's not going to be okay. Because while she's fine with knowing that her son is mutant, she does not want him to be doing mutant stuff because it would hurt her image. So that was rough. That's always, you can always go that way with mutants. It's either nice because their parents are all supportive, or you go this route and you're just kind of like, man, the parents are kind of the worst route now. Which both routes can work. This time they went, the parents are the worst route. Not parents, these specific parents. But yeah, that was a very sad moment. Because I thought it was going to go well for him, but she actually acted really cool about it. She was very smooth, and she was like, come on, I knew, it's fine. And then she was like, oh, don't tell anyone, though. You're embarrassing. So, it's a different variation of the usual. It's not like the parents want to kill you or the parents want to separate completely. It's a different way, but it's the same thing. Your parents not even wanting you just because you're a mutant, and it's very sad. Very, well done. Very, it works. It, makes you root for the mutants. If they do it right, which they did. So, we have seen the X-Men planning. We've seen Roberto and Jubilee doing the thing. Now we're going to go back to see Bastion, who has Magneto, and he's keeping him all locked away and whatnot. And he has the blonde lady from previous episodes. She was at like the trial for Magneto, and she was in Genosha. So I didn't like her. She tried to be good a few times, but I never liked her, and I knew she was bad. So she is essentially working with Bastion. It's complicated, but she has helped him. And she doesn't really understand what he's doing. But then he kind of explains it all to her. He explains to her the like reason and stuff, and I think this is a point where he tells about his backstory, and it's pretty wild, he like I can't remember. It's complicated with him. He's a mutant, and his power is that he is a human sentinel, or he's just a human sentinel who happens to be that way. I don't know, but basically he was somehow he did not get into Xavier's school when he needed to. He thinks it's because Xavier rejected him. It's actually because his mom didn't made it not happen. But he is convinced that Xavier wouldn't let him in, so everything went bad for him, and everyone hated him. But yeah, he's another mutant, but he's really weird because he can talk to machines, and his mutant power is almost like being a machine. So that's pretty unfortunate for a child. Um, but yeah, I mean, he he has a reason. But obviously it's not good. We do get some cameos in Bastion's lair. His very, very villainous lair. It was very classic villain lair thing, which is funny because you don't always see those anymore. There were some villains on. He had all these screens. He was talking to all these different villains. We saw Doctor Doom. My brother Wyatt got really excited about that. He likes Doctor Doom a lot for some reason. I didn't know this until a minute ago, but all of a sudden he likes Doctor Doom messed it up because the next one, well, not the next one, but another one was Zemo. If you don't know who he is, if you watched Captain America if you're only movies and you watch Captain America Civil War, he's the Russian, or he might not be Russian. He's the accent guy who basically orchestrates all the drama between the Avengers. And in that movie, he looks nothing like he does in the comics. He's very much more a normal dude. If you watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, he gets a very more closer version of him to the comics. Um, so yeah, he in this one obviously he was in his full comics deal. Which if you only watch the movies and stuff, you might not have even recognized him, but because his thing, he has a big purple like just almost ski mask kind of deal, with no like mouth holes. So it's either very recognizable to you or not at all because you just think of him as like a normal dude. So, um, as he is not Zemo, but Bastion is explaining all these things and kind of we're figuring out what he's doing and why and all this stuff. We're just figuring out Bastion and his role and everything. He's saying that like people are like coming to him and letting him turn them into sentinels was what it seemed to me because he was just like they were like volunteering basically. My thought is why are you volunteering for this? I mean, you're not like there's a lot of these human sentinels. So why are so many people interested in this? It must be presented as something completely different. Because his thing is like they get implanted with the sentinelness and then they don't remember about it or anything about Bastion until it's like triggered and he calls them and stuff. So I don't know. That's just I wouldn't why what had to be going on in your life? It was like, yeah, please inject me with robot so that I can become robot when you tell me to. But hey, to each his own. Um, so Bastion has a bunch of these human sentinels, human sentinels, and I have you guys. My outlines are really janky, and I don't spell words right. Sometimes on purpose, and most of the time on purpose. Um, I don't think I say human once. I think it's always Humy. I didn't mean to say that here, but I did, so it's fine. But basically, Bastion is ready to unleash the human sentinels. And so the X-Men discover this when they are their little group is like looking in Bastion's old home to try to find out some stuff and learn what's going on and just try to get somewhere. And his mom is in there, and his mom is being creepily friendly and like, yes, come in here, let me show you my son's memories or whatever. And so it's real weird, and then it's like, and then it happens. So apparently his own mother is a human sentinel. He injected her with human sentinel. So that's when we first realized they're coming. All of the human sentinels are coming because his mom kind of, wakes up or activates, I guess, as a sentinel, and she starts attacking the X-Men. And then there's just all of the sentinels start activating, and it's a lot. It is many. I don't know where he got these people, but you know. So at this point, it was pretty clear that the X-Men were going to start kicking some butt, and I got excited because it was looking pretty awesome. Like they were split in different groups doing different things, and they were going to get to all fight together, and I was very excited. It was like, yay, violence, not like that, but so the Summers family they're all together. So Nathan and Jean and Scott, even though it's technically Jean's not like really a part of the family. I mean, biologically, I guess she is. It's complicated. Clones are complicated. Um, but we'll call it the Summers family. Um, Nathan Summers, yeah, or Nathan. No, sorry. Tried to think of their last names because it's Jean Grey, but it's not the Grey family because it's Nathan Summers. There's more Summers than Greys, so it's it's the Summers. Yep, I got it. It's fine. But yeah, they're all teamed up together. Gotta love that. This is kind of a makeup for. This is kind of the father son. Let's play catch. Except this is mutants father son catch. Yeah, you know. running away from human sentinels in a cave on a truck is a mutant father son catch. So that worked. That worked for me. I was like, okay, kind of made up for the arguing and the sad parental disconnect. So yeah, um, and then Cyclops has a very awesome, very Cyclops line when him and Jean and Nathan are trying to get all these Sentinels away, and he says, and I quote, "Let's show these toasters why you don't screw with Summers." And that made me very happy. I laughed a lot at that because it's both awesome and just so Cyclops. It's like it's both so like cool and like kick butt and everything, but like it's also very, good boy. It's also kind of like a boy scout, and that's who Cyclops is. He's a kick butt boy scout, and that is why we like Cyclops. It's a great character to be. Um yeah. It's him and Beast are very similar, but Beast is basically just Boy Scout. Cyclops is actually like very uh tough and fighty. What's the word for that? Not that he likes fighting, I'm just saying he can throw down with the best of them. So that was so nice. That was very fun brain chemicals when he said that. I specifically I have it. This is the only thing that's entirely spelled and grammared correctly on my whole outline is this quote because it was so awesome to me. And after we see the Summers family doing their thing, fighting together, finally, Wolverine is gonna get the chance to do the thing, do his whole deal, because we have an army of non-human enemies. So you can slash and hack those guys to your heart's content, and there will be no moral problem here. Even though I kind of was feeling one, because technically they're still people, but it's okay, it's fine. I won't think about it too hard. Don't ruin the fun like that. But yeah, me and my dad especially were very happy to see that Wolverine was finally gonna get to just slash and hack and be aggressive and angry. Because all the story has been great. It's been we're following. It's all been exciting and fun, but this was we love Wolverine. He's both of our favorite character in all of Marvel, and this is Wolverine finally just getting to completely be Wolverine, with no restrictions or anything. He was still very much Wolverine before this, but he's just showing this is Wolverine doing what he loves to, and we love to see him do. And Wolverine and Nightcrawler were together. They were at kind of the mansion, I think. They were the ones kind of fighting at the mansion where Rogue is, so they had to also protect Rogue. And Nightcrawler did some pretty sick stuff too. He's sick in the positive sense. He's a good boy too. He wouldn't do anything crazy. Wolverine would, but Nightcrawler wouldn't. So he's, jumping around, teleporting. He has a sword now. I don't know who gave him a sword, but he has one. Um, and, he's good. He's good with it, and it's so exciting. It's a great little action scene there, and we were cheering Wolvie on. Nightcrawler too. Nightcrawler's great, but we were just waiting for this, for Wolvie, and we were cheering him on real hard. Obviously, the Sentinels are everywhere, not just in the mansion and attacking the Summers family. So they are also where Roberto and Jubilee are, around his mom or his parents' house, I guess, or whatever. Maybe they have, wherever they are. They're there as well. So they're flying around attacking things, and Roberto is his mom just told him to not show anybody else he's a mutant, but he goes and he bees a mutant, and he turns into his he goes out from the building where everyone can see him to go fight the Sentinels, and he turns his full sunspot form, I guess. It's like where he's completely glowy. Because sometimes if he just shoots, his hands are glowy, but sometimes his entire body goes glowy. And I think it's when he flies, maybe. I don't know the rules for his powers. Um, I wish I could describe what I mean by glowy, because he's black. Like, his entire body is the color black. But it's also very shiny. And there's, it's like, it looks like a solar eclipse, kind of. Anyway, he does that in front of a bunch of people, and he starts blasting the Sentinels, and then his mom is even worse than she was before, because she makes him, like, come back and get collared, because, like, people are people are mad at mutants, because why not? Because they always are. And so his mom hands them over, Jubilee and Roberto. She hands them over to be collared, which is rough. It was rough when she was like, "We're embarrassed of you." It's like, yeah, we don't want you to be able to help people because it is embarrassing. So yeah, that was rough. We were all very sad for Roberto. Not really Jubilee, but she also got collared, which is unfortunate. But she kind of just makes fireworks, so it's fine. So that was unfortunate. Then we go back and we see what's up with Bastion, because we find out that the blonde lady, who is, she's not kind of like super conniving and evil and orchestrating everything. She's just a little morally less than right now. We find out that she actually has released Magneto from where Bastion was, like, holding him and keeping him, which Bastion is mad about, and he gives some big "you are stupid" speech. I don't know. I'm still confused about what he did with the blonde lady. I don't know. I assume she's dead. Like, that seems to be the way he would go. But she's not a mutant, so maybe he was chill about it. I don't know. But anyway, Magneto is now out, and he's gonna do something. So yeah, it shows Magneto, and he's out, and he floats a little bit, and so it zooms out on the planet, and it's just like these the wavy lines that represent the magnetism when he does it, all over the whole planet. So, we were kind of like, did he just EMP the world? And then we get a bunch of shots of just all around the world, all the technology shutting down. We're like, Magneto just EMP'd the world. So, yeah, he was he's pretty ticked right now. For good reason. If you've been following the episodes, he has a lot of reasons to be ticked. So he EMPs the world. Just the whole world, all of it. I mean, shuts down the Sentinels, so that's good, but that's kind of not ideal for humans. As they're showing all the electricity go out around the world, get some more cameos. Spider-Man, we see him swinging around as the lights go out, and he stops, and he's like, wow. So that was fun. We get to see Silver Samurai for a second, and somebody called Omega Red, who I have no idea is anything in the comics or anything else. I've just seen him on a Marvel vs. Capcom video game, so I'm pretty sure he's in Marvel. So yeah. And all of this has happened. The EMP goes out. It kind of stops for a minute because it's, the world getting EMP'd will make things stop. And Great Xavier appears, and he's like, he sends out his telepathical call, and he says, "To me, my X-Men," which made me mad, because I was like, oh, so now they're your X-Men, because you almighty Xavier came back from chilling with your Space Queen, because you decided it was time for you to get back your X-Men, because you didn't just, like, completely abandon them to go chill with a Space Queen. Okay, sure, whatever. I never liked Xavier that much anyway. I know he's beloved. I know he's Xavier. He's like the center of all X-Men things, but I was never that fan of him. He was kind of boring to me. Just kind of a old man who was apparently really powerful but never did anything. So I am going to continue to stay mad at him until he does something that's very cool and awesome and helpful, because he has a lot to atone for me right now. So that's how that one ends with the "to me, my X-Men." They're not your X-Men. Sure, make them your X-Men. But that's how that ended. So, yeah, after that one was a really good one. That one had a lot of good action and story moving with all of that. It was feeling all very climactic, and suspenseful, I guess, intriguing, entertaining. So that was a really good one. That might be like a favorite, I bet. Um, I'll have to decide that after I review the finale. So yeah, that one was very good, very exciting. That's the word. That's a good word. So obviously, well, not obviously, because they actually did a part one and a part two, like 2 episodes apart before. But as it usually is, the next episode is Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. Apparently, they figured out how Part 1 and 2 works. So, I guess it doesn't have to work that well. So, yeah, it starts out with, Magneto. So, he EMP'd the world, right? So, that's gonna be a big deal. So, it starts out with, um, you know, it just kind of shows the fact that it just reinforces the fact that this is very not okay that he just EMP'd the whole world. Things are not going to work if this is not going to work. I I write silly things on here, don't I? Yes, I do. Everyone has great nicknames on my outlines. But anyway, Magneto comes, the X-Men are kind of regrouped, they answered Xavier's call, and so Magneto comes down to them, and wait, yes, maybe. Okay. Well, got lost. Magneto has a big role in this one, but anyway, we see him floating and doing his magnetism thing. But we see him in his like comic accurate helmet, so that's fun. We don't we I mean, he's not necessarily a great guy right now, but hey, sick helmet, dude. So we see Bastion, and he's kind of at his like mother's. He's kind of like with his mom, and he's acting really sad. But it's kind of like, bro, don't turn her into a robot. Then, like, I feel like you don't really get to be sad. Um, but he was sad, nevertheless. So yeah, whatever. So, we also see Roberto and Jubilee are safe, just colored, and they need to get out of that, and everything's fine. But it's mainly right now about this whole Xavier being alive situation, right? Because the X-Men didn't know about that, so it's kind of a big deal. So Xavier tries to explain himself to Scott, because they were probably the closest. Well, almost definitely the closest. And he's all like, I was trying to make a better life for you and whatever. And basically, Scott is like, shut up. And in that moment, I was like, yes, Scott. And he walked away. He, like, turned his back. And he turned his back to Xavier and walked away. And I think I yelled something like, strut, Scott? Or something stupid like that. Because I was like, yeah, just he doesn't just. I was really glad he wasn't like, oh my goodness, yay, you're alive. He was like, there are a lot of problems with this. I mean, I want to think it's great, but also like, that's do not don't pretend you are dead. So, yeah, I was proud of Scott right there. We like Scott. Scott's a pretty great dude. Like he may be a real good boy, but he's not a sucker either. He's not gonna just be like, oh, it's okay, because he knows the difference between right and wrong, and Xavier is wrong. But anyway, so the everyone's there. Everyone's regrouping. Where Xavier's here and nobody cares. But yeah, so the X-Men, they need to regroup, and they kind of need to fix all the things, because Bastion is still he's still alive. He's still making trouble, and also the world has still been EMP'd, and that's not great. We kind of need the world to not die for you know not. I mean, no other reason other than we don't really want that. Because the X-Men like the humans. And Magneto's like, I don't like the humans, so L. Um, and so the X-Men are kind of gonna need to get Magneto to turn the world's power back on. Which is interesting that he could do that. So, yeah, you just gotta. They basically figure out that Bastion is the main. He's kind of like the motherboard, I think is the word, of like all of the Sentinels. So if they kill Bastion, they don't have to deal with any other of the human Sentinels. They just gotta turn him off, and the other Sentinels will be turned off. So they make a device, and they are gonna go stab him with it, or poke him with it, or put it on him. I can't remember what kind of device it was, because spoiler alert, it doesn't work. As usual. But the smart people, Beast makes a device, and this is their plan. Go stab the dude with a device that is made to counter the dude. So yeah, as we see everybody, I did notice. So Rogue has made a costume change for some reason. I noticed it very quickly because it's a certain comics suit. Don't know why she's wearing it. But she's also wearing Gambit's jacket over it, which I didn't know until after I watched the episode and I was doing some more research, which was, I think at this point, I think I was pretty much over being mad at her for being a jerk to Gambit and Magneto. So I was kind of like, okay, I think you're allowed to be sad now, but it's both kind of nice and kind of sad. So, um, but yeah. The Gambit thing was really nice when I figured it out. I was really excited about the suit. I was like, hey, what a nice nod, So this is when Magneto comes and visits the X-Men. He comes down and he's like, he basically, he could figure out that they were going to ask him to turn the world back on. So he comes down to see them and he makes this whole offer. He basically says, if any of you want to join me, because I'm done with these humans. They're dumb and they're stupid and they're kind of the worst. So if anybody wants to join me and just make the world real good for mutants, then let's do that. And that doesn't sound great when I say it, but his speech was actually pretty good. He's seen some bad stuff happen to mutants because of humans. So it's he's got a point. He's got a point. He's not right, but there are points there. You can almost kind of see his point. But yeah, so he's offering for any of the X-Men who want to come and join him. And since Xavier is not a good parent who disciplines his children and just lets them do whatever they want, he doesn't do anything when Rogue just goes and decides to join Magneto. And now I'm realizing she takes off Gambit's jacket and leaves, and she goes and flies up to be with Magneto, because she she sees his point as well, and also, if we're being honest, because they have a thing. They have some weird, gross, disturbing thing, possibly problematic thing. And then poor Roberto goes and joins Magneto as well. Which it makes Jubilee very upset. And but Roberto has a good reason again, because like he's just been collared by his mom, so he's feeling particularly salty right now. He says something like what's left for me if I stay here? And Jubilee says me, and he doesn't even respond, and he just flies off to be with Magneto. And I was like, wow, that's not a really uh that's kind of a jerk move right there, Roberto. I mean, again, very easy to sympathize with him, but still, it's kind of, it's this one it's a lot less easy to be just mad at him for doing something stupid, because he has a lot of good reasons for doing stupid stuff. But yeah, they go off, and they go back to where Magneto is, and so the rest of the X-Men are gonna go make Magneto turn the power back on now, because obviously he's not gonna do it. So they're gonna suit up and go do that. So the suit up part is really awesome, because they start wearing some real nice comic accurate suits. Um, just like all of them were really, really awesome. And so I can't remember exactly who says it, but as they're suiting up, there's a very funny jab made at the Fox X-Men movies, because I think in the Fox X-Men movies they made fun of the comic accurate suits. So in this show, one of the characters says like, "What were you expecting? Black leather?" Because all of the suits, every single suit in the Fox X-Men movies is black leather. So that was pretty funny. Personally, I prefer the almost offensively colorful and flamboyant suits, and so because I mean I comics, and that's what is in the comics. So yeah, um, suit up scene was very nice and brain chemicals. So they go through. They split up. Some people are gonna take on Magneto. Some people are gonna go to get what Bastion there is. That's his name. Um, so they have to go through some human sentinels. They do that pretty easily. I mean, there's sentinels, but like they're also it's the sentinels are sentinels, but also these are the X-Men. So this kind of like fighting sentinels is very much their thing. Like, it's not gonna be a problem there. And Mr. Sinister also is working with Bastion, so Jean and him have a little fight scene. But obviously, Mr. Sinister has nothing on Jean. And she has a nice little moment where she's able to telepathically overpower him, because she says something about Madeline that was good. So something about Madeline existing helped her do that. So that was nice. So yeah, she gets she takes out, I don't know if takes out is the right word, but she basically overpowers Mr. Sinister. So that was a nice moment for Jean. And after we see the Bastion group, we go back to the Magneto group, which is very unfortunate because Magneto is making the X-Men fight each other, which is it's so sad. It's very unfortunate. There's even one little spot where I did get pretty mad at Roberto. Despite how good your reasons were, he like knocked Jubilee out of the air or something, and then she got really mad and started like, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or he said it real stupidly. He was like, "Sorry." She started throwing her fireworks at him, and I was like, "Yeah." I was much more heated in the moment, I can see, because in my outline I have written in all caps, "Roberto, you fat, ugly little," and then it looks like I just punched the keyboard. So, yeah. I mean, I've calmed down since then, but clearly here I was not into that. Oh, so we go back. they're fighting. Magneto and Rogue and Sunspot, they're all fighting. Then we go back to the Bastion group, and since Mr. Sinister's there, he is able to kind of mind control Cable. I'm not sure of the logistics of how, but he has some sort of control over him. So, he made him fight Jean, which is unfortunate. She obviously is not trying to actually hurt him. She's trying to get him out of the Mr. Sinister. She's trying to get Mr. Sinister out of his head. Then he reveals that his mom, Madeline, was a very gifted telekinetic, obviously, because Jean is, and it has passed down onto him, so he, like, blasts her with a big blue telekinetic blast, I guess. And it kind of, that is how we leave the Bastion group. That's kind of, or at least Jean, specifically. So, with this episode, I was kind of like, they didn't just kill Jean. I mean, she dies all the time. But, like, I was like, okay, is she dead? Like, what just happened? But we don't get to figure that out this episode. Let's just say Bastion is in a pretty good spot right now. As for the Magneto group, Xavier decides that Magneto is not going to un-EMP the world, obviously. And he has decided that he is going to force him to by, like, hijacking his powers and getting in his brain, which is pretty dark, actually, and pretty messed up, but you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. So Xavier's like, you have to get the helmet off of him, because Magneto's helmet is, anti-telepath. So his helmet, is off, and there's this whole, like, moment where there's a little, I think it's a little thing between Xavier and Magneto arguing, or he's trying to get him his inside his head or whatever. But there's, like, a little moment of, like, not really as much fighting. And then Wolverine decides to be Wolverine, and he just stabs the guy. He just sticks it up Magneto's, like, I don't know, ribcage? Not ribcage. Like, the very middle of his body, basically. Or his torso. I don't know. Just, like, not, like, a little bit lower than, I guess, his heart area would be. So, yeah, but basically, what matters is he stabs the guy. So, that's what Wolverine does, and, I was surprised. I'm not saying I was, I was not saying I was sad, but I was surprised. Also, when he did stab Magneto, I was like, TV PG? Question mark? Because it was pretty up close, and there was some details there in the stabbing. I mean, not that I wasn't bothered, but I was just, TV PG. Okay. But then, Magneto didn't really enjoy getting stabbed, because he's weird like that. So he decides to kind of go beast mode, and he does a thing. He does a very X-Men staple storyline thing, because, so, if, quick, I don't know, fun fact about Wolverine, if you didn't know this, his bones are coated in a metal, called adamantium, that makes him it, like, adds to his indestructibility and whatnot. As I said, adamantium is metal. Magneto controls metal. So Magneto decides to pull all of the adamantium off of his bones, off of Wolverine bones, and out of his skin. So, they don't really show that. They just kind of, like, show it coming, and then they cut away, and they show, like, a picture, like, a backed up picture of it, which was not very TV PG. But yeah, and that's how that one ends. So, that was a pretty big ending there. Magneto gets stabbed, and then Wolverine gets all the metal ripped out of his body. So yeah, that was a pretty intense ending. Overall, this one was pretty good as well. Not as actiony, but very important to the whole story. It was very, as far as, like, engaging and intriguing goes, it was still very, like, exciting and important and intriguing and all the things. It wasn't slow, just not as uh actiony, not as much fighting and slashing and cutting, but still some action. Just it was mostly focused on story stuff, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it. The ending was great though. I loved all that stuff that they brought in, kind of threw at us at the ending. Because like the next episode is the finale, so it's kind of a great idea to just throw in a bunch of where is this gonna go at the next last episode, because then we get to wait, see what the finale does with all that. So it was, as far as like a setup for a finale, it's really really good, and in general, pretty enjoyable episode. I liked the one for it better because there was more slashy cutty, but this one was still pretty awesome. Again, ending was great. And yeah, Wolverine getting the adamantium ripped out of him is like it happened in the comics, and it's a big deal. Cause, ow, no bueno. And just for the record, the way he looks after he gets the adamantium ripped out of his skeleton, that is pretty PG, TV PG, because I feel like it would be a lot worse. Like in reality, I'm like, isn't your skeleton like everywhere in your body? So wouldn't there just kind of, you know what? Never mind. Imagine it if you'd like. I have. So, but yeah. I thought I was so excited for the finale after these episodes. Neither of them were bad in any way. Highly enjoyable. So, the thing is, I wrote this outline as reviewing all 4 of the episodes. So I only have a question for 1, which is why I didn't have a question last time. But also this was supposed to come out, since it was 1 episode, it was supposed to come out before the finale. So my question was going to be, what are your predictions for the finale? So, what we're going to do about that situation is I will ask you, if you have watched it, what did you think was going to happen? And so were you surprised? If you haven't watched it, the finale, what do you think is going to happen before you watch it? And for the people who have watched it, just say what you thought was going to happen before you watched it. No spoilers, don't ruin it for the people. But yeah, all the other things, follow, share, subscribe. Yes. Do all of these things, and yeah, I will see you guys